Barbara, and there's quite a few people here who know me, so lovely to see you. I run a business called Rendezvous, which is a fun events company for single professionals. Now, it's been a little bit tricky running a fun events company for single professionals in a pandemic, I can tell you, but we are thrilled to be back shortly. We're going to be running our first event at the end of June, and we thought, why not get ourselves prepared so that we've got our immune systems all ready to be out greeting lots of people. So if you're anything like me, you'll like to get fit and healthy with as little effort as possible. And today we're going to, I know, today we're going to show you some tricks just how to do that. I'm going to shortly introduce you to Eva. Eva and I met as we were sitting across the desk from each other. And remember those things called offices? Feels rather retro now, doesn't it? Working in an office. So we were sitting across the desk and we both work in finance, and finance can be a little bit boring. So I was telling her about my business Rendezvous, and she said, well, I have a business as well. It's a healthcare business. So we had so much in common talking about these things that we started to have lunch together. And Eva would bring in these enormous lunches of so much stuff, so much healthy stuff, but they were huge, like bigger than her head. And I would marvel about mine was a cute little box, you know. I would marvel about how much she could eat and how she would just stay so fit and healthy. And I think there's other people on the call here from the same office, and I think everybody got so much fitter and healthier after Eva came to work with us. So there we go. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Eva, and we're going to talk about lots of nice healthy things. And Eva, can you tell us about how you got into being a health coach? Over to you.
Thank you, Barbara, for the introduction, and thank you all for joining me and all of us on the webinar today. So I started off when I was in my teenage year. I've been a vegetarian for about 35 years. Already then very into eating well. Then I had a daughter who had issues with being impulsive from all the coloring and preservatives and flavorings that you have in food. She became very impulsive and hyper. So that led me into taking her to a naturopath, and then I took her off gluten and dairy, and the whole kind of journey led me into finding myself in a way to be a health coach. So I trained with the Institute to Integrated Nutrition in New York. It's an online course for a year where you look at over 100 different diets, and you have leading teachers in the field come and join you. And sorry, that was my daughter jumping in. And on top of that, it's a holistic approach where they look at the thing that really drives what you're eating is everything around you in your life, you know, how your relationship works, how your career is, how your spiritual life, exercises that you're doing. So it's very much understanding when you have clients, they want to eat healthy or they have their own health concerns and they drive what they want to achieve with the health coaching. And then we kind of see when they divert from that path, and it's also always driven by things that's going on in their life, in their career, in their private life, etc. And we kind of compensate for things that are out of balance with food. So it's a way of unraveling what's actually going on in your life. So that's kind of what brought me to become a health coach. And I've always been very passionate in telling my colleagues what they should and shouldn't eat and how they can improve their health. And when they have little issues, they say, oh, I'm not sleeping well, then they come to me and I'll give them a list of suggestions.
Yes, a list of to-dos, I think. You must do. Anyway, Eva, can you tell us just about what we're going to be talking about this afternoon on how we can strengthen the immune system ahead of this sort of great and grand reopening we're about to experience? Blah.
Yes, longer do you waited for. Yes, I was thinking about all the, obviously the government has tried to contain the pandemic and have issued a number of policies and things that we need to adhere to. And inadvertently, a lot of them are really contrary to our immune system and our health, which made me thinking that people really need to be aware of this before we start going out. So the things that I'm in particular concerned about as a health coach is we've been indoors for the better part of a year. It's not been a full year. It's been a year now, it's been locked down, it's not been the whole time. But that means being indoors is that we're not getting the sunshine that we require. And the sunshine is important for us to have vitamin D that we're all deficient in. Also having limited outdoor activities means we have less oxygen in our bodies. We are stuck inside houses that have a lot of toxins in them. So we're not getting the oxygen that we require. And often when we go out, we wear a mask, which again restricts our oxygen's uptake. And then there's also the aspect of the news that's constantly very much fear-mongering with the pandemic, and people are scared to catch COVID. And that causes a stress in the body. And when we're stressed, that also reduces our immune system. So that's a concern. And then the extended isolation that a lot of us are experiencing is very stressful and very taxing on the heart and our mental health. And lastly, by being isolated and not exchanging with other people around us, meeting other people, our immune system are not exposed, which makes it weaker. So we need that interaction with other people to keep our immune system strong. So those are the things that kind of come to mind as a result of all the lockdown rules that we've had to follow for the last year.
Okay, amazing. We look forward to going into those in detail. Perhaps the first thing we can talk about is vitamin D. I know it's been going around a lot in the government and chats online. Can you tell us why we need vitamin D?
Yeah, vitamin D is very, very important. It has it controls about 2,500 of our genes relating to longevity and kind of diseases in older age. It also regulates our absorption of calcium and phosphorus, which is important for our bones and our teeth. But the reason I'm bringing it up here is because it's very, very important for the strength of your immune system. So it can help anything from cancers, viruses, depression, heart diseases. So it's really one of these crucial vitamins to take. It's actually a hormone, but it's used as a vitamin when we talk about it. And there's been a lot of 70 studies since March 2019 about COVID. And it shows that those people who had hospitalization and many who have passed away from COVID all have very low levels of vitamin D. So what are we talking about in terms of levels? So levels, when you measure it in the blood, it's a nanogram per milliliter that is measured. Anything below 30 is deficient. Anything below 20 is critical. So ideally you should have, I would say, between 60 and 80 nanograms per milliliter. And they found a lot of the pensioners that passed away from COVID in Italy, they had a vitamin D level of 12.5. It's just not sufficient for the body to fight a virus as strong as COVID. So it's something that we can take very easily. I get mine from and also we live in the Northern Hemisphere. So by definition, in a normal year, we will probably be deficient during the winter months. Obviously being indoors as much as we have, most of us are definitely deficient in it. I get mine from my naturopath. And I think we're going to share details with her. To her, so you can either email or call the office and she can help you get one. You don't need to have an appointment with her. You can just order the vitamin D spray. And the vitamin D that you take, whether it's from her or from someone else, you need vitamin D3 together with a vitamin K2. That's to help the absorption of it. And ideally it's a spray that you spray on the tongue so the body can absorb it. And you need somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 what they call international units per day. I tend to take closer to 3,000 in the summer when I'm outside. In the winter, I have sort of 5,000 units per day to keep your immune system in a strong shape, which I think we will need when we come out of COVID.
Fantastic. I've been taking my vitamin D spray. I've also put that vitamin D spray in the chat if everyone can see that. And if people do want to ask questions throughout, please also put them in the chat and we can take those questions either throughout or at the end of the session. Moving on.
Also, I don't get anything. Yes, you know, I'm not promoting the naturopath specific vitamin D. I don't get any cut on it, so it's not that I'm trying to sell a product I'm getting commission on.
No, it's just where to get it from.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. We're going to talk about oxygen. So, Eva, can you tell us why fresh air is so important?
So, fresh air, as you know, we can survive about 3 minutes without oxygen. It is crucial for the body. It helps with the cell division in the brain. It's important for all the organs. You have oxygen therapy as a kind of alternative therapy, not as the only one, but as a alternative therapy for cancers. It's hugely healing for the body. All organs need it. When we're indoors an awful lot and we don't air, we tend to breathe in the toxins that the body is trying to get rid of. So we get rid of toxin through our breath, through our sweat, through our wee and our poop. The breath has an important part to play in that. So when we're indoors and we don't air, which most people don't do because it's freezing cold for the last couple of months, we carpets, we get toxins from sofas and other padded furniture. So the toxicity can actually be higher inside the house than it is outside, in spite of the pollution living in London. So it's very, very important that we air for our bodies. And also when we go out, we tend to wear masks. And again, we rebreathe toxins that our body is trying to get rid of. So when you can, take off your mask and take full breath when you're outside.
I was told off for this one because I was going out with a mask thinking, oh, you know, when the weather was absolutely freezing here and I had the mask on because it was keeping me warm as well as everything else that I had on. And then Eva went, no, you're breathing in all these bad toxins. So yes, don't do that. Anyway, moving on, we're going to talk about stress, something that we all need to be aware of. And I just think we need to be a little bit aware that, you know, a lot of people haven't been around people socially. And there's likely to be a few people with a short fuse that wouldn't normally have a short fuse. So I think we're just going to have to be a little bit kinder to people because they're just not used to socializing, and yeah, they might need a little bit of time for warming up. Eva, can you take over on stress?
Yes, so like mentioned, stress, a lot of people have fear of COVID, of catching it, and of going outside, and of people having COVID that are spreading it without symptoms. There's also the stress of uncertainty of potentially your job situation, your finances, or being in a house restricted, you know, with a lot of people that you don't want to be 24 hours with all the time. Is you know, family life can be tough, but equally it's also tough if you're on your own. So that causes inflammation in the body and the stress. And going back to we have sort of two nervous switches effectively. One is when distressed and one is when we're calm. So in the calm one is the parasympathetic nervous system that kicks in. And that's when we're breathing properly, our digestion works properly, all our organs are getting, and hair and nails are getting all the nutrition that is required. We're sleeping properly. And when we're stressed, it switches over to the sympathetic nervous system. And the reason for doing that is to help us survive. So this was meant to be when we were gather hunters, effectively. We had a lion chasing us. So it meant to be something quick that lasts for a short period for you to run away, and then things are fine again. So the body switches on that you don't sleep as well. It changes the kind of food that you need to fuel, because the fuel goes from fat to glucose to help get sugar to your muscles so you can run faster. The digestive system doesn't function because you don't need as much blood to digest food. If you're running away from a lion, you don't need to digest your food, you just need to run and survive. And same when you, with your immune system, it kind of shuts off. You don't need to heal from some disease when you're running for your life, because if you don't make it, it doesn't matter. So all of these things kind of doesn't work properly when we're under stress for an extensive period of time. And with COVID, it's almost been a year that we've been exposed to it. So it has a huge impact on our stress level. And it's something that we need to consciously be aware of. And there are things we can do to kind of calm it down. One thing is also to, obviously, when you're under stress, the body sends out the hormone cortisol and adrenaline in your body. So things that you can do to reduce that and kind of consciously try and be more in what they call the parasympathetic nervous system, when we're healing, when we're calm, is to breathe deep with the diaphragm. When you breathe with that one and breathe with your stomach, it sends signals to the body to calm down. So that's why with meditation is very good for you, yoga, tai chi, Pilates, but even other types of exercise. Because if you're out walking and when you're stressed, you releases those oxygens in your body, and also to reduce the amount of caffeine you take through Coke or to tea or coffee, because that sets off the adrenaline in your body. So there's things that you can do to consciously focus and calm yourself down. And another important last point is that stress is very much a perception. So if your perception is that you're stressed, you have a lot to do, it's much harder. Whereas to say, oh, this is fine, I have a lot to do, but I'm going to do them one at a time and I'm going to be fine. You send other signals to your body to calm down, and it's fine, it's manageable. So there are things that we can do to kind of keep ourselves calm, but stress has a huge impact on our immune system.
Hey, wonderful. If I'm a bit stressed on a Zoom call, I'll start breathing. There we go. We're fine now. So, we are all social animals, as we know. So can we talk about why we found it so challenging on our mental health in lockdown?
Yeah, I think Zoom calls is a fantastic way to keep contact with other people or MS Teams and our colleagues, but it doesn't really replace the human interaction, having presence of another human being next to you. And then we communicate a lot through our hearts to our heart. And that interaction, like a mother and a child, is a lot of communication happen directly through the heart. And the heart sends more signals to the brain than the other way around. So being isolated is very taxing. If you look, for instance, at orphans from the Second World War, you had orphans in hospitals. It was very sterile environment. They were being fed by a nurse on set hours and giving what was thought the requirement for them to be warm and to have the food that they required. And then there was also other children that were sent out to farms on the countryside. And whilst they wouldn't necessarily have the food at the regular hours or the right type of food, the bacteria levels were certainly higher because there were animals on the farms. But the things that differentiated when they look at the survival rate between the two groups, it was much higher for the children that were sent to the farm, simply because of the human contact. They got cuddled, they got hugged, they had people around them that loved them and they could love back. And we're human, we are meant to interact in a social way. So being on your own is very, very hard. And the other aspect I want to add to that is also, it depends a little bit on your personality. If you're an introvert, which I tend to be more of, I loved the lockdown when it started. It was fantastic. Finally, it got quiet and the world stopped turning for a little bit. And I could recharge, because that's how an introvert would recharge, have downtime, to have alone time, and they get stronger. Now, a year on, I've had enough of it, so ready to open up. But for someone who's an extrovert, they thrive, they recharge with the interaction and from other people. So for them to be isolated is just 10 times harder. And to have it ongoing for this long is extremely, almost scarring on their mental health, I would think. It's also, you see prisoners that don't behave, they're put into isolation. Why? Because it's a punishment. It's a hard thing. We are not meant to be alone.
No, I agree with that. And I also, when I'm with a bunch of people, I end up losing weight from it, because your brain's engaged, you're having a fun time. So if you're sitting on your own in a Zoom and with no one else to interact around you, you suddenly have to think about other ways to go out and keep those calories down. Bizarre, I know, but I thought I'd add that. Moving back to the immune system, Eva, why has lockdown made our immune system so weak?
Because we have been isolating and keeping away from other people. And as I mentioned, our immune system needs to be exposed to other people. We need to have that exposure to other bacteria, to other viruses, and it's how our immune system keeps at a strong level. So by the fact that we've now have been indoors, we're not breathing enough oxygens, a lot of people are not exercising enough, we're not having our vitamin D, we're having a lot of stress from all the uncertainty of COVID. It means that our immune system are very challenged. They're very tested at this stage. So I think when we finally start the reopening, and if everyone were to go out and start socializing, they're going to be ill. A lot of people are going to be sick when we open up again, not because they catch COVID, but because their immune system are weak. So what I would encourage people to do is to just see 1 or 2 people at a time. Don't go out in big groups because your immune system is weak at this stage. And yes, it will strengthen up very quickly, but you will need to give a little bit of time. And yes, I think it might be worthwhile just to, Barbara, to give a summary of all the things that you can do to strengthen your immune system in the last couple of weeks before we go out there again. And obviously the typical key pillars of health is obviously to eat proper food, eat well, and drink enough water. It cannot be how important water is. You need between 2 and 3 liters per day. And if you drink alcohol and have a lot of coffees and teas, you actually need more water, not less. And in terms of eating healthy, it's fairly simple. I think we know more or less what it means. It means eating more fruit, more vegetables, more seeds, herbs, whole food grains, legumes and beans, and less of the meat, dairy, processed food, fried food, refined carbohydrates, alcohol, teas and coffees, and sugar. Sugar is very important to reduce. It doesn't mean that you get rid of it entirely, but try and reduce it just to give your body a chance. And then take vitamin D. It is super important. The other thing I would say, try and exercise every day for at least 30 minutes. If you can't do a walk in one go for 30 minutes, split it up 2 times 15. It's better than not doing it all, but you do need to move around for at least half an hour. It's very much based on the blood has a pump with the heart to take it around. The lymphatic system, which delivers all the nutrients to your cells and takes away all the toxins, only works if you move, if your muscles contract and relax it. So you do need to exercise. You also need to try and sleep well, sleep early enough, have enough sleep, rested sleep. And then to manage your stress level, and consciously when you're stressed, try and do things to calm your mind down through meditation or yoga or just breathing.
That's so interesting. Thank you so much, Eva. We're going to open up for questions now, but just because some people will drop off around about now, I just will say that we are going to follow up with an email to you all so that you're in touch with Eva. We'll put that vitamin D spray in the email, and you can book a session with Eva, starting with a trial session from £20. And if you like how you get on, and if it's proving that it's great for health benefits, because it goes on and on. There's, we've all got our own unique issues and we all want to be helped. So I'll put those details in that email as well. And questions. We've got a question from Virginie. Are there foods that promote good sleep?
Yeah, it has to be the same food that's good for you. They said alcohol impacts your sleep, teas and coffee impacts your sleep, sugar impacts your sleep, and there's also a question of having a routine that keeps you sleep, going to bed at the same time, not having the light on, not having computer or screens with the light, blue light in your eyes, that also impacts you. But yeah, generally, the more vegan food that you eat, the better for your sleep. And not to eat too much late at night. Have a lighter meal. The bigger meal should be more around lunchtime, and then a lighter meal in the evening. So the way they're looking at it is saying, microbiome is all the bacteria in your stomach. So if they're eating, it's like you're having a party in your house, and it's very difficult to sleep. So you need that food to be digested before you go to sleep, and that will help you to sleep as well.
Okay, another question here from Isabel. I was wondering what kind of tea would be more hydrating?
Herbal teas. All herbal teas are good for you. And also I have a lot of warm water with lemon, especially in the morning. It alkalines the body, cleanses your kidneys. But yeah, normal tea is dehydrating. It's got caffeine in it. Green tea is said to have a lot of health benefits. It's got a little bit of caffeine in it, but not as much. But otherwise, any of the kind of herbal teas you can have that are hydrating.
Okay, fantastic. Anyone else out there with a question? Now's your chance. Stephen, I thought drinking tea was okay for hydration. I don't like to drink water. No, I'm with you on that. I drink fizzy water all day. So is drinking tea like herbal tea?
Yeah.
Yeah, but surely black tea is okay. I know it's got some caffeine in it, but not much as coffee. Okay.
No, it's not much as coffee, but it's still dehydrating tea. So if you have normal black tea or with milk.
Yeah, not normal black tea. Surely that's that. I mean, you say you need, was it 2 litres of water a day to stay hydrated? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I've watched various TV programs that say, "Oh no, I don't like to drink water. It's horrible. You know, I can't drink water." I obviously don't like to drink water. It's okay, but how boring is it? You know, so so I drink tea. I love tea. You know, so I'm thinking, well, I'm getting hydrated because I'm drinking about a gallon of tea a day.
Wow, that's a lot. Do you like herbal teas? Have you tried green teas?
I haven't tried green tea. Oh, no, I did try green tea. I'll have a look. But
come on, Stephen, you can try this year.
yeah, but surely black tea is okay. Good Lord. Maybe you get decaffeinated black tea. I don't know.
No, yes, you can.
You can always try, and if you don't like it, you can go back to it, right? It's all about.
Yeah. I'll try a decaffeinated one then. I've got to have my tea. I won't function at all if I don't have tea.
No, I agree.
I'm English. Okay. Yeah.
No problem.
So there you go.
Anyone else? Do you have questions for Eva?
Oh, here's one.
Goodness. On hydration and water, I haven't had an alcoholic drink for 3 weeks. Well done, you. And drink 2 litres plus of water and tea a day, but still wake up completely dehydrated. Yes, no, I do that too. What do you have to say?
You probably need to drink more than 2 liters. You can drink closer to 3 liters. And also it depends what food you eat during the day. If you eat a lot of processed food, it's got less water in it, that will make you hydrated. The body requires a lot of water to digest our food and assimilate all the nutrition and push it through the pipes. It's a bit like being on the water slide. You need a lot of water and then to push it all out. So it could depend on the type of food that you're eating. A lot of bread makes you very thirsty as well. But you can definitely increase the amount of water you drink.
Another question from Virginie. Should you skip a meal instead of having a late night dinner, or should you still eat something?
It depends what late night is. I tend to not suggest eating much. It also depends a little bit what's going on in your life. If you haven't eaten all day, but generally I try to have more lighter food in the evening. And if you haven't eaten anything at all and you're very hungry, then have a little bit, but maybe don't have as large a portion. Or you can have fruit. It's very good late at night. It fills you up a bit, and you can go. So it's not straightforward. If it's all the time, then it's not a good thing. If it's one-off thing, then it's not going to matter as much. It's what we do every day that impacts our health, not what you do once in a while.
Oh, I agree. I don't think I'd like to go to bed hungry.
No, you don't sleep well. When
No. Probably have dreams of food. A very large breakfast. Anyway, does anyone else have questions?
Start cooking, yeah.
Yes, be cooking in your sleep. Yeah. Any more questions, anyone? No?
No.
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you so much, everyone, for attending the
Thank you
webinar.
very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone soon.